and welcome to the year 2020. Clear vision, clarity, wishing all of that to you and yours. In my last video, I talked about how I wanted to do a Q&A, advice, video column type of thing, and this is that thing. I also said that there would be a catchy name, TBD, and I thought a lot about it. Buckle your seatbelts. It's called I'm on a Couch. Because I told you guys to send me your questions. I made a little email account, kikiqa@gmail.com, and you did send questions. And as I was reading them, I was like, why did I think I was qualified to give advice on any of this? I'm not. And also, why didn't I think about that part of this when I started on this venture? But then I was like, you know what? Maybe some of the things that I have learned as I have stumbled, Bambi learning to walk style through my life will be helpful to some of you. Or maybe it won't be helpful. You won't like what I say, and you'll be mad at me. Let's find out which one. Stay tuned. So the first question that I got that I was like, got some thoughts on you, sir, was the following. I'm a first-year uni student. Making friends has been really hard for me this year because I'm not confident enough to strike up conversation with the people around me who seem cool. I just assume that no one enjoys my company, so I just awkwardly keep to myself. Do you have any tips on being confident and friendly? Also, do you have any tips on having the confidence to talk to attractive guys? Yes, I do. So this is obviously something that a lot of people struggle with. I think everybody feels this to some extent, and I was excited about this one partially because I was like, I have thoughts on it and feel like it's something I'm good at, and I have this incredible resource in my sister Skylar, aka Emily. We represent two ends of the spectrum. She is Cameron and I am Ferris, in that she feels real weird all the time and I'm obnoxious. So first I want to address what I think is kind of the root of the thing that she touched on when she said she doesn't feel like people are going to enjoy her company. So I've been thinking a lot lately, and this really ties into the concept of self-worth, and I've just been kind of spinning around in my mind grapes. Do I think self-worth is intrinsic? Do I think it is dependent on certain qualifiers or things happening to me? Like, do I matter? If nothing else is happening, do I have value? And I think the answer is yes. So these are all my own little thoughts. Take them with however many heapings of salt you deem appropriate. And before I keep going, I meant to say this in the beginning, just a tiny moment of sincerity for you. I really do take seriously the fact that I say things and that go into people's ears and minds and hearts, and it got weird when I kept taking my finger down. This is my moment of sincerity. So you know what? That quote, when people show you who they are, believe them, butchering it, but you get the idea. Let this be that moment for you of knowing who you're talking to in what I just did with my finger, okay? I care a lot about you guys. Over the years of me making content and not, I've gotten so many messages that have really touched my heart, and I don't take it lightly. So please know that I am an idiot. And I care a lot. If I would love for people to debate things that I talk about and, leave their comments with their thoughts, call me out if I say something stupid, bound to happen at some point. And I really I'm operating from that space that I talked about of like things I find interesting that I also think will be helpful to me or other people. And I'm hoping that this can be a space where people can we can kind of help each other out, because I don't think anybody fully knows what is happening. I certainly don't. So anyway, I will now continue now that I gave that disclaimer. So I think that self-worth and that our value as a thing that exists is there no matter what. The nice thing about knowing that is once you get comfortable with the idea of like, I have value, period, it, to me, if nothing else, you can start to get more specific in kind of identifying what you can contribute. I think, especially as women, we have been taught since we emerged or emerged, however you entered this plane of existence. We have been taught to shy away from our value, shy away from our contributions, and feel like it's weird to identify what you're awesome at, or it's gross to identify what you're awesome at, and I think we should shit all over that whole concept. We spend our entire lives trying to take back the confidence that I think we probably, based off of any interaction I've had with small children, are born with. So basically, get comfortable with the idea that you have value, period, and then get specific about what do you contribute to the people around you, because you for sure contribute some things. And it doesn't have to be like, oh, you're an amazing this or whatever, but there's so many different types of contributions people can make to other people. Maybe you are an incredible listener. Maybe you have a great sense of humor. Maybe you have great taste in TV shows to watch. Maybe you're really good at solving problems. Come up with a list. Like, sit there and just do this to the whole idea that it's weird to acknowledge things you're fucking good at, and think about it in your interactions with your family, with your friends throughout your life. What are you offering to people? Because you are definitely offering things to people. And that might help, because when you are nervous going into an interaction for whatever reason, if you're having the temptation to feel like people won't benefit from your presence, having the knowledge that you have value, whether or not those people even like you or not, and you do contribute things with your presence, makes it a lot easier. So basically, just cozy up to the idea that you might be fucking cool. And it's so cliche if everybody's like, everybody has their own, but like, you do. Everybody has stuff going for them, unless you're Donald Trump. And I would also say, if you're hearing me say this and you're going like, but I'm not awesome, why? Like, why are you? Keep going down that path for a minute and see what the fuck you find. Because if you're like, oh wow, I don't think I'm awesome because of then you can start to address that shit. So while I was thinking about this, I started reflecting on a Tinder date I went on when it had been a while since I had Tinder dated, or dated period. And I was feeling kind of fluttery the day of and nervous. And then I was like, why on earth would I feel this way? Because worst case scenario, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, I guess you could get like murdered on a date. Okay, that's not funny. And let's just put murder and any other like horrible, harmful thing over here with Ron. That seems right. Like, you can put it like, oh, it's just a pretty rose gold pillow. Everything's normal here. Just kidding. It's Ron Swanson's angry face, because I like to keep my guests on their toes. So anyway, murder and actual scary things are over here with Ron. And assuming that doesn't happen, the worst case scenario on a date or anything, if it's you're meeting somebody you really look up to, or it's a job opportunity, nothing is going to happen to you. If it's awkward, if you miss out on the opportunity, okay, and then what? Like, take it a few steps further, or take a few steps back. You keep surviving shit in your life, and it's weird for a minute, or it sucks for a while, and this isn't to trivialize, like, yeah, sometimes stuff really sucks, but then you know? words. One of the things that, as I've gotten older, has gotten easier is I really just don't have the energy to worry about things and people that are not actively worrying about me. So maybe you like this person you went on a date with, and then they don't like you back. Okay. Maybe it was a job you really, really wanted and you didn't get it because you were so fucking weird in the interview, or just because they didn't like certain things or they picked someone else. Like, it does not matter, because I truly don't think that none of us have time to worry about shit that isn't worrying about us. If it doesn't want you, then that's it's over. It's fine. Feel your feelings about it, but then you just go on to the next thing, because you're not going to have no opportunities now. And I've been alive, not forever. Sometimes it feels like that. But long enough to know that a new thing pops up, and I can't think of a single thing in my life that I'm like, I really wish that would have worked out. Because there's always things I couldn't see, and I'm not religious. However, there's something looking out, and I don't think that little something takes things that really are meant for us, And so this is like getting kind of like, now. But the reason is, I think I don't get nervous really, or it's really easy for me to squish it when I start to get nervous going into any sort of talking to people environment, because I'm just like, what? If you don't like me, or if this is weird, like, if a date is awkward, you can feel awkward. I'm gonna be fine after this. Like, that's it. I'll move on to the next awkward interaction. And then I'll have interactions that aren't awkward, because everybody's got their people, and your people aren't gonna feel weird to you. There's too many people on the planet. It is an environmental crisis. So you will find ones that fuck with you, and you don't have to lose sleep over the ones that don't. Because another thing is that I really stand by, it is so much better to be alone than to be with people and in situations that don't feel natural or get you. It's exhausting. We're not doing that. We're not doing that in this here year of clarity. So one thing I also talked about in my last video, and that I am still obsessed with, is the concept of pretending I'm invisible, which seems counterintuitive to the topic of this video, but it's not, because one really key thing in everything I just said is that I make sure before I go into a situation where I'm going to be talking to people and there's the potential for it to make me nervous, is I get really grounded and centered first. Like, I take a minute, just take a deep breath, and I do that so that I make sure I'm moving how I would move authentically. Because the only thing that could trip me up with what I just said is if I go and I do weird stuff that's not really me because I'm nervous. And then it's harder to kind of release, like, well, that wasn't for me, because then I have more stuff to put on myself of like, well, I wasn't really being authentic, and maybe that was the problem, and I can sit there and spin around in my head like what went wrong. So that's why I think it's good to know you have value. That's why I think it's good to understand also specifically what about you rocks. And that's why I think it's good to practice like behaving like you're invisible, because if you remove the lens of other people's input and you just go, would I do this if no one could see? And then start only doing the things that you're like, yeah, regardless of people's feedback, this is what I would want to do. I'm just taking away that whole thing of what other people would think about it. I get centered and I act like that, So what I mean by that is I don't look anyone in the eyes. I don't ever speak words to people. I just pretend like no one can see me. It's like a ghost situation. I make some pottery. This analogy is getting away from me. Anyway, keep listening to my advice. Demi Moore is there. Moving on. So get centered, release the fucks, take a deep breath and do what you would do. And that might take some time. And that's okay. Patience, such a virtue. Fucking hate patience. But it does matter, and I'm learning to have us be friends because, there are things we all have to work on and they take practice. And this kind of leads into my next point that I talked about with my sister, Skylar Emily Cameron. We're on these different ends of a spectrum, and I don't think it's because I'm like smarter than her and so I'm better at talking to people. I mean, I am smarter than her. This is, by the way, whenever I say things like that, it's my test to see if she actually watches my videos. Are you watching? People just have natural inclinations towards and away from things. So I've seen enough like siblings that grew up in the same environment with the same set of stimuli that are super different to know that like it's kind of natural. And so give yourself some grace. If this is a thing that's hard and takes a while, that's okay. There are things that are hard for me and that I'm bad at. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just got distracted by thinking something was wrong with the audio, and I fully lost track of what I was saying. But I know I was somewhere around. Give yourself some love when it comes to, like, it might take time and practice, and you might not have a natural proclivity for being chill with talking to people, and that's okay. Because we all just have our stuff that we work through. And Skylar offered some really great advice about this in particular, which I was like, oh, yes, because that also totally applies to the things that I am really uncomfortable with, which is just practice, right? How gross and annoying. But truly, she was like saying that putting herself in situations where she has to talk to people and just doing it over and over again, and then each time she doesn't die, it does get easier. So obviously, if you're in college and you're trying to make friends, or you're trying to talk to a man, put yourself in places where you have to do that and just do it, and then it gets easier. It does. And I know that's true for the things that I do have a hard time with. For example, being vulnerable with people when I am actually in a relationship. How gross. Hate it. Do not enjoy it, but gets easier with time. As far as some practical advice goes, figure out what your hobbies are, what types of things you're interested in. A cool thing about being in college is that theoretically you're in a college town, and there's usually a lot of activities, groups, things going on, people your age, and just going to places where you might find like-minded folks and opening your mouth and saying stuff to them and practicing that will help. Maybe I should have put this at the beginning of the video, like the actual practical information, and then gotten into my big thoughts. Figure out some groups in your school that are dedicated to things that you like or are interested in. Go to those places and be like, hi, I have value. Here are my contributions that I offer as a friend. Yeah, don't do that. Anyway, practice makes perfect, flawless social interactions, as the saying goes. And also, when you go to just be like, hi, I'm so-and-so at these places, in these environments, remember that most people are deeply uncomfortable and insecure. So it's pretty rare that people are like, wow, what a fucking weirdo for introducing themselves to me. Hate it. Hated that. Usually people are like, oh, good, somebody said something, right? So you're going to be fine. And worst case scenario, barring like murders, which Ron's keeping you safe from over here, or plotting. Unclear from the expression. Anyway, I don't know if that's like to ward off murder or if he's like ready to do it. A thought for another video, perhaps. Yeah, even if you introduce yourself and they're like, wow, what a fucking weirdo, hated that. If that happens, you will continue to live. And you might be like, ooh, I am very uncomfortable in this moment. But then, a new moment appears with its own set of nightmares. So that's mostly what I had to say. I also just wanted to share a message from my sister Skylar that I thought was really clever. If these other things aren't working out, she says what she'll do is just only interact with people that are inferior to her, because that removes like the intimidation factor. Or if that's not an option, you can just convince yourself that everyone is inferior to you and you're no longer scared of them. So in case any of that other stuff wasn't resonating with you, you are welcome. And this feels like a perfect segue to talk about what happens when you want to talk to an attractive man. Just remember that they are inferior to you. Everything I said in this whole video is 10 times extra true for talking to men. They're so dumb. So as long as you can come from an authentic place, you know, like work on your value, work on understanding, like if this interaction doesn't go well, you'll be fucking fine. It's gonna be golden. And I don't hate men, probably, but we definitely shouldn't be nervous talking to them because of everything I just said. You will be fine without them if it doesn't work out. And if it does work out, great, but not worth the energy if it's not cool. And usually they're just like excited that you started the interaction. A couple practical tips that I guess are true all around, but especially if you're like extra nervous with talking to the boys, then take a deep breath. I know I already said that one, but like really like that makes such a difference. And take note of like, what are my shoulders doing? What is my jaw doing right now? Those little physical markers, sometimes you can kind of trick yourself into being relaxed. So if you're like, I'm nervous, what are my shoulders doing? Oh, they're like a half an inch higher. Or you said uni, they're a centimeter and a quarter centimeter. I don't know. I'm a dumb American. Relax them. Do that right before you walk up to them. So yeah, just walk up to them. Immediately take a deep breath. Relax your shoulders. Do that and then say, hi, I have value. These are the list of contributions that I make. And that date is yours to lose, friends. So anyway, thank you for listening. Let's have some fun talks in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this segment. I hope you enjoyed my couch. And I don't know, I think this is fun. I enjoyed myself. So if you liked this video, you just go right ahead and you like it. Oh, a bunch of you guys did send me a thumbs up, by the way, and it was the fucking cutest thing that's ever happened to me. Anytime you want to send me a video of you giving me a thumbs up, please do. Also, I've learned that I might have like a thing for thumbs up because the other day I saw that I had done 2 tweets in a row with different thumbs up gifs, and also my profile picture is me giving a thumbs up. And I was like, I might need to take a step back from this gesture. But you don't. Please send me your thumbs up. It was so cute. And then also literally click thumbs up on the video or it's useless to me. And if you didn't like this video, fuck you. Just kidding. I'm unaffected. I've ascended past worrying about your feedback, right? That's the whole thing I said. I'm wise. And, you know, so you give me a thumbs down. Be bold. Make your feelings known. You can also subscribe to this channel so that every 3.5 years when I decide to make a video, you don't get notified because YouTube sucks. And follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter. Twitter, you can find a lot of angry political rants and random bullshit like my strong feelings about whether or not people eat raw egg. If you don't eat raw egg, I'm upset about it. And Instagram, where I post to my stories and other fun stuff. At Kiki G Makeup. I like you so much, and I hope you do have a really good day. I think I'm done talking now. Subscribe to this channel. I already said it. Okay, bye.